The true story of Kari Byron's role on Mythbusters has come to light. Popular series Mythbusters made a star of Kari Byron. The presenter was a stalwart of the series, performing part of the Build Team triumvirate that assisted main presenters Jamie Hinneman and Adam Savage so well. And then, just like that, Byron, along with her on-screen teammates Grant Imahara and Tony Belleci, channeled their inner Kaiser Soze and were gone. Mythbusters debuted on the Discovery Channel back in 2003, with Byron joining the crew on screen at the start of the second series. Along with Belleci and later Imahara, she became part of the recognizable trio that was responsible for assisting Savage and Hinneman in performing all manner of weird and wonderful experiments, all designed, of course, to prove if a myth was actually true or just an old wives' tale. The show became huge, attracting a loyal following of devoted fans, and as the only regular female member of the crew, Byron became an inspiration for many. The show's sheer longevity, eventually lasting a full 14 seasons before it finally ran its course in 2016, was testament to its popularity. Unfortunately, Byron, along with Imahara and Belleci, didn't quite make it through to the end. What happened? Well, there's the million-dollar question. All fans know is that in the season 12 finale, there was Byron, Imahara, and Belleci displaying their usual on-screen chemistry. Hinneman made a short statement confirming their departure. And then, just a matter of months later, at the start of season 13, they were gone. Savage and Hinneman were still in situ, but the Build Team, affectionately dubbed the B Team, was nowhere to be seen. Some fans were outraged. Others were just sad. But very few knew the truth. Certainly, many wouldn't have known the story of how Byron came to be such an important member of the Mythbusters team. Unlike many stars who make it onto the small or big screen, she never intended or particularly wanted to be on camera. Growing up in California, the young Byron had her heart set on being an artist. And that's what she became, graduating from San Francisco State University after studying film and sculpture. After finishing college, Byron began hunting high and low for a job in the special effects business. Although she had an interest in movies and TV, she was very much focused on a job behind the scenes. But as it so often proves for young artists and creatives, paid work was a little hard to find. I have this image, just that all of my resumes fell into some bin that said reject. Byron later told website The Verge. There's often a degree of chance involving any career, and that indeed proved to be the case with Byron. One day, a friend of the artist recommended that she pay a visit to the studio of one Jamie Hinneman. He had a San Francisco workshop dealing in special effects. So along went Byron, more in hope than in any real expectation. Hinneman wasn't immediately taken with Byron. She recalled how she took along her portfolio, which he promptly looked through very unimpressed, she recalled to The Verge. But there was something that caught his eye. Byron had made a sculpture of an elderly man and included a photograph. Hinneman was like, "Okay, yeah, that's something I can work with," Byron said. And that's how it all began. Byron joined M5 Industries, Hinneman's workshop, and what was to become the studio in which most of Mythbusters' tests were conducted. But she was initially an intern and had to make ends meet by working a night job at the same time. "I just kept showing up until one day they asked if I wanted to help out with Mythbusters," Byron told The Verge. Her tactic had worked. Now Byron was a small part of the Mythbusters series that was filmed at Hinneman's studio. With Hinneman and Savage presenting, behind the scenes, the team was forever beavering away, helping to set up a wide array of stunts, experiments, and recreations that were the premise of the show. Working alongside Byron of the Mythbusters set was one Salvatore, or Tori Belleci. The special effects worker had been involved in the business for almost 10 years at that stage, getting most of his experience at Industrial Light and Magic. And like Byron, who was an artist, Belleci didn't have a scientific background. Not being a scientist certainly wasn't a disadvantage for Belleci or Byron. "I just found that science and art are very similar," Byron told The Verge. "It's all curiosity, it's all experimentation, it's all trying to answer questions," the cable TV star added. And for fans of curiosity, experiments, and the missions to find answers, Mythbusters really was the perfect TV blend. The ratings and viewing numbers told the story. The show performed consistently well, and Byron was an integral part of that. The former intern had become an established star in her own right. Her on-screen banter with Imahara and Belechi, in particular, proved ever popular with fans. The show and its team were on a roll. But then everything changed. Fans of the long-running cable series were left stunned when three of the show's most popular cast members, Imahara, Byron, and Belechi, were suddenly gone. The 2015 series began without the three integral members of the build team, as the show was suddenly reformatted. Why? What had gone on behind the scenes leading up to this shock departure? In a revealing interview with Entertainment Weekly magazine, the show's longtime producer, Dan Tapster, spoke about the many changes the show experienced at the end of the 2014 series. It was the 11th year of the Discovery Channel show, and it seemed that some things just could not continue as they were. There were some heavy prices to pay, and that's what happened in the case of Imahara's, Byron's, and Belechi's jobs. The format of Mythbusters meant that its production costs, both in terms of cast size and the sheer expense of staging the stunts involved, were considerably bigger than, for say, a sitcom. And so as the show's popularity grew, mirrored by the fame of its instantly recognizable cast members, salaries became an issue. Sadly, it seems the reality was that producers felt they couldn't match the new financial demands of their stars. Or that's how the story goes anyway. Now, the stars of Friends were reportedly paid $1 million per episode back in the early 2000s. There's no suggestion that Imahara, Byron, and Belechi were looking for those kind of numbers. But whatever they did ask for, their producers just couldn't match it. And when they couldn't, the trio of stars decided to walk. That was their prerogative, of course, and once again, this was just one side of the story. The executive producer of Mythbusters, Tapster, gave it to Entertainment Weekly straight. There were negotiations, and based on those negotiations, they, Imahara, Byron, and Belechi, opted out. It's a shame for them, it's a shame for us. But it gave us the opportunity to reinvent the show, which it kind of needed, he stated. And so that's exactly what happened. The new series, which aired in January 2015, looked considerably different to the format to which fans had become so accustomed. But Tapster was excited. It's got a new look, a new vibe, and it's become more educational again, he said. He even added that the new season was the one in which he was probably most proud of. Mythbusters co-host Adam Savage also spoke to Entertainment Weekly about the high-profile cast departures. Savage, who went on to host a further 2 series of the popular show until it was finally pulled in 2016, was happy to talk about it, and it was certainly honest and sincere in his interpretation of events. When we were looking down the barrel, as it were, of Kari, Grant, and Tori leaving, Jamie Hinneman and I totally expected a vigorous response, Savage told Entertainment Weekly. It's sad. I don't like to disappoint the fans. I don't like to make them angry. But I really feel like when they see what we've been producing this year, they'll see a program that we still love to make, the show's co-presenter added. That's not all Byron has been up to either. The mom of one has appeared in a number of other TV shows, including Strange Trips, Fameless, and Creature Features. She's also starred as the host of Crash Test World. Somehow she even found time to write a book, Crash Test Girl, and regularly appears as a speaker at events. She continues to inspire. But there's no doubt that walking away from Mythbusters hurt Byron. We gave blood, sweat, and tears, and so many more bodily fluids, to a television show that for us was like making the best home movie ever. But for a generation of fans was an invitation to question and experiment with their world, the star subsequently wrote. But whatever the real reason she left Mythbusters, it was far from the end of Byron. Fans of the bubbly presenter had been able to get their regular fill of her on-screen antics across all manner of networks on all sorts of shows. The future seems bright for the artist turned accidental TV star.